Hey, perfect, Arturo. Let's break the ice a bit. We've already explained your work feedback, big companies in the design sector. The last one before this change was NIO. How did you start in the field of design? Where did you study? Where are you originally from? Because I'm not sure exactly which city in Spain you're from and how you got inspired to become a vehicle designer.
Well, let's see. It all started by watching Back to the Future, so to speak. I've always liked, imagining what would happen, what kind of transportation there would be in the future. And that movie, whether you like it or not, opened my eyes a bit. Also Star Wars, etc., etc. And well, once I saw the Auto Design magazine in a bookstore in Madrid a long time ago. I don't know when. It must have been in 99 or 98. And I said, well, this really can be done. And well, I started to browse, I started to investigate. I also, whether I wanted to or not, used to draw. At that time, I was in the arts high school and I always wanted to do something related to design, initially product design. And when I saw that transportation design, car design could be done, I tried to find out how I could do it. So, well, I studied product design in Madrid. I'm from Madrid. I was born there. I grew up in the southern area, in specifically. I studied in Fuenlabrada and then went on to study in Madrid. And when I had the opportunity to fully immerse myself in the world of transportation, I know that, or I found, because at that time, the internet, well, we all know how it worked with the whole, we all know how it was. It was very slow and there was very little information. But I found that at Elisava and at CU San Pablo, there was a master's in transportation design. And also in the Autopista magazine, they had already started a few years back with the design competition. The first design competition was won by Jorge Diez, who is now the design director at Seat Cupra. So through that, I was talking with the Polytechnic University of Valencia because that same master's in transportation design that was at San Pablo in Valencia was moved to the Polytechnic, and I started there. I started my career there. I was with Antonio Garrido, who is the technical director. Joaquin Gracias was teaching classes at that time as a tutor. And, well, I started studying there. Well, studying in terms of working, drawing, learning to draw cars, learning a bit about the history of the automobile. The truth is, they train you quite well and push you hard, especially Antonio Garrido, for whom I always have a lot of affection, because he was the one who pushed us really hard from the beginning. And Joaquin taught us to draw and to be more interested in design, the small details. And the truth is, it was an incredible experience. And from there, well, I have a lot of affection for Valencia. I think it's one of the cities where I would love to live. That one. And well, I've always liked La Manga, Cartagena, right? So, well, I grew as a designer there. From that point, as you said, I got into and in PIN. At Pininfarina, securing an internship through my work, and I won my first car design competition through the magazine Autopista, together with Nissan, Rotunda in London, who were organizing the competition at that time. And from there, little by little, well, I kept growing. And then, well, everything you've mentioned about my professional profile, well, then I wanted to professionalize myself more. And I was working in Barcelona. And what else can I tell you? I went to the Royal College of Art in London for 2 years, where I was sponsored by Bentley Motors. And from there, well, everything you've mentioned, the professional leaps you're talking about.
Very well. Hey, Arturo, you've worked at the Volkswagen Group in Germany for 10 years and also collaborated both in Belen and with Toyota. In terms of design, how do you see the major design differences between Japanese manufacturers, European manufacturers like the Volkswagen Group, and Chinese manufacturers? Because you've been through, let's say, the three main production hubs of vehicles in the world. Historically, Europe has been a great producer. Japan, for decades, the leading manufacturers. Toyota remains the largest car manufacturer in the world. And now the Chinese, who are already the largest vehicle exporter in the world. How do you see the difference in styles and designs in the area that concerns you, which is exterior design between each of the regions? What is liked more, what is liked less, and what are the major differences between them?
Let's see. I think that a while ago, the first difference could be the quality of materials and production quality. In terms of design, well, Volkswagen has always been very product design, very calm, without exaggerations, everything very meticulous. Nissan has always been a bit more daring, but it has always had a lot of reliability in terms of engines. Also Volkswagen, it must be said. But always, for example, Nissan Toyota has always had its audience who likes a Toyota, probably won't like a Volkswagen. So I think that in terms of design, Toyota has always been a bit more daring in trying to appeal to Europeans, Japanese and Americans, because, for example, I think Toyota has always had its big market besides Japan and America, even more so than in Europe, I believe. And Volkswagen has always had its more conservative audience. And regarding the Chinese at the beginning, a few years ago, it was a bit like they didn't have that confidence in terms of design language, in terms of quality. But I think that right now they have nothing to envy. The Chinese or Chinese brands have nothing to envy from the Europeans or the Japanese. I think we are practically even surpassing them, so to speak, in terms of design and quality. I believe they no longer have anything to envy from European and Japanese brands. Moreover, I think that practically what is missing is the public's confidence in Chinese brands. As soon as there is more confidence, for example, Great Wall is gradually entering Europe and Neon is doing the same. Perhaps the brand that is currently most visible in China is MG, and there's also Lynk & Co. or Seeker, which are gradually entering. And for example, Lynk & Co. and MG are becoming very common in Spain. I think that in a couple of years, the general public will gain more confidence and will increasingly look for switching from a European or Japanese brand to a European brand.
To a Chinese one? Hey, and speaking of design, there's always that negative mantra that they try to apply to the design of Chinese cars, saying that they only copy. This is a very recurring topic from the know-it-all uncle in Spain or on social media, where it said, no, but Chinese cars, the designs are just copied from European designs. What do you think about that? Because as you were saying, the design already made in China in many aspects is overtaking manufacturers from other regions of the world.
I think a few years ago it was like that. That's why they started hiring Europeans and Americans to help them create their own design language, to differentiate themselves, to bring that know-how they have from American and European brands to China and start learning.